There are moments in each of our lives that in some way delight us and maybe propel us on to a new way of living. It is kind of those breakthrough moments that come along. Cold and winter, as I described a couple of weeks ago, was always a nemesis for me because of being a paper boy. I grew up always getting my hands and feet frozen almost by the end of the paper route. And so I grew to kind of dislike the winter months, and I dreaded when they came. But sometime in my 20s, a friend of mine asked me to go out cross-country skiing, and I did. Another friend came along and said, let's try downhill skiing, and I did. And I began to find that, outdoors could be fun at times. And once that happened, that I could, in a sense, play in the cold and the snow, it made it more livable. And at times I would find myself even looking forward to the winter times. Doesn't happen all the time, I still sometimes begrudgingly look at it. But the sense of being outside in winter and recognizing the beauty that was so evident in those surroundings. To have exercise outside. Learning that if I worked hard enough skiing, I could stay warm. And just really allowing the light to go on about the goodness even of winter. We hear the people going to John the Baptist today in the desert. It was a wasteland, a place that was not attractive, a place that certainly they would not desire to go to and probably would not normally go to that spot. And yet, it seemed that going to that place for them allowed them to open their eyes to a new reality. They began to see how their lives needed to change. Some of the attitudes that were present in their lives were not so healthy. The way that they were living probably was not sustaining them so well. They maybe found themselves disgruntled about their lives. And so the light went on for them. These days before Christmas are important days. Certainly we look forward to the day of Christmas itself because we long to gather with family and friends to have that day of great celebration. But these days also are a part of Christmas, I believe, and are the moments in which our lives can change, in which we can recognize a new reality in our lives. A way of maybe seeing things differently again. Because there are these things that go on, and maybe we do some of them begrudgingly, maybe some of them we really look forward to. But let me suggest a couple. That every time you are making Christmas goodies in the kitchen, that you say a prayer for those who do not have enough to eat. That every time you turn on the Christmas lights, you would stop and thank God for each person who has brought life into your life these days. That every time you write a name on the Christmas card list, that you pause and offer a short prayer for that person. That every time you set out to get another gift, that you would think of those who are the greatest gift in your lives. That every time our children would remind us of what they wanted for Christmas, maybe it would be just an occasion to give them a hug at that time. Every time we wrapped a present, we would thank God for all the gifts that we have that do not fit into bags and boxes. Every time we felt like complaining about all that we have to do, these days. We would pause and remember how each of these things is a way to make Jesus present to those we love. John was really calling the people of that time to change, to see new priorities, to stay connected, not only in love, but to really trust God's coming into their lives. And on this third Sunday of Advent, it is a time for us to rejoice that God is here and acting among us, inviting us to continue to live our lives of faith. We long for that all-encompassing power of God's love in our lives, and we see it present in our world.